this morning. We'll give about another 30 seconds, everybody, and we will get rocking and rolling. Again, this is structured as a meeting. So any questions, any comments that you have for our speaker today, you are welcome to type them in the chat, and we'll make sure to monitor that as we go through and ask our speaker. Good morning, Joanne. Hey, Dina. Hey, Trudy. Hope you guys are all doing well. Good morning, Maria. But a great morning to be with you guys. Got a value-packed session here. You're going to love our guest speaker. I got a wealth of knowledge and information. So this will be a note-taking session for sure. But as always, this is recorded, so we'll send it out after as well. Good morning, Evelyn, in the chat. Thanks for waking up the chat, as I say. All right, guys, so it is 10:03. So without further ado, we will get right into things here. Again, good morning and welcome to the great Global Broker session. We are really thrilled to have you here. It's always so fun because Denise Talboy puts in so much effort to bring us somewhere else around the world every single month. And so if you guys could join me in a nice round of applause and a thank you to Denise. And I'm going to pass it over to Denise Talboy as well, who's going to give us a little overview of what we're about to hear today.
I am thrilled to welcome Ben Rutherford from Blue Zone Realty in the southern Pacific zone of Costa Rica. He is a leading RE broker, a fantastic one at that. A transplant, he can say this, but a transplant from Canada into Costa Rica and's been living there a long time. I want to thank my team for being on. I never do that enough. And Ben, I'd like to pass it on to you. If there's any questions, like Stephen said, put them in the chat and we'll address them either as we go along or at the end. Thanks, Ben. Welcome.
Thank you very much. And can you hear me fine?
Yes, we've got you.
Okay, excellent. Okay, nice to meet everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. Much appreciated. I guess we can just start with the PDF.
You got it. Absolutely. We'll go ahead and share screen. And again, for anybody just joining in, welcome. We're thrilled to have you. All right, Ben, floor is yours, sir.
Before I was a realtor, I was a chef and restaurateur in Canada. Spent some time in Texas in the States for 4 years, opening up there. And so apart from that, when it came to real estate, I was just that guy that, you all came across that was helping a friend decide that was the right home for them. And the only qualification I had was I was in fact a homeowner. So I'm sure you've all come across that. But in the last 10 years, I've learned a lot from my mentors here in Costa Rica and abroad, thanks to Leading RE. And Denise has been so gracious to take me on as my mentor with Leading RE. So my goal today is to teach you a little bit about Costa Rica. We do have climates here that are similar to Florida and ones that are very different to Florida. So my goal is to teach you, but also for me to learn something and leave the day with some connections. And hopefully I can answer any questions that you may have. So with a show of hands or thumbs up or comments, have you ever had someone say or thought yourself, I need to move to somewhere tropical? Florida's pretty tropical, but yeah. So what happens is we do get people coming here, sometimes not realizing that they're not in Puerto Rico. We are often confused with Puerto Rico and often mistakenly thought of as an island. But what's beautiful about Costa Rica is we have a southern coast and we have our Pacific coast and we have the Caribbean Sea, the Atlantic coast. Costa Rica is about 5.3 million people. There's about 500,000 expats living or owning property in Costa Rica, so 10% of the population. A lot of those are from the United States. So the U.S. Embassy has a huge presence here in Costa Rica, and it's a stable democracy and has had no army since 1946 or 1948, when the then president of the country abolished the military and put that money into education and infrastructure. So a very interesting concept. We are considered the Switzerland of Central America. So known globally, we are known for our tourism and nature, quality of life, how you probably see things on Facebook and Instagram feeds about Costa Rica, or at least after today you will, due to the algorithm. But yeah, Costa Rica has moved from about 20 protected forests 30, 40 years ago to over 50%. And we have that opportunity. I have a large farm of 47 acres. So there's parts that only the cows can get to, and I'm probably never going to build on it. So I'm reforesting some of that, and I'll be able to put it into the reserve program and bring down my property taxes. Next slide, Stephen. What happened?
There we go.
Okay. All right. Geography and microclimates. So we have beaches, mountains, valleys, volcanoes, like in Lake Arenal. We have 2 active volcanoes. We have 5 different microclimates. We have the Central Valley. We have the dry tropical forest, which is the Pacific North. And we have a wet tropical forest. And we have cloud forests in way up in the mountains. I live in the Costa Ballena area, which is known, and the English translation is the Whales Coast. And this is where the humpback whales come every year, twice a year actually, once from the Arctic and once from the North and the South Pole. So they're coming here to give birth to their calves because the water is so warm. And later on in one of the photos, you'll see the Whale's Tail Isthmus that goes out to the ocean. It's really quite a stunning beach we have here in town, and it is a national park, and it's about 500 square miles of protected marine area. One of the things about our area that is so attractive is that the mountains rise up out of the ocean, and it's the only part of the coastline of Costa Rica where this happens. So you can get to 1,000 feet elevation within minutes up a steep dirt road. Sometimes we're lucky and they're paved, and you get much cooler breezes. So it can be 90 degrees down at the beach, but 80 degrees up in the mountains. And it'll go down to about 68 degrees where I am here. And that's actually a picture of my farm on the top there. And the waterfall, one of the closest waterfalls to me. Some of the most beautiful waterfalls in the world are in our immediate area. I look onto a 300-foot waterfall in my distance. You'd have to zoom in on that picture, way up there. But the southern zone does blend the jungle with the mountain breezes and the Pacific Ocean and access to it. We have the fantastic fishing here. We have a fantastic Marina Pezvea out of Capos Manuel Antonio, and that's our trade area, is from Manuel Antonio, Jaco Manuel Antonio, all the way down through the Osa Peninsula. And the Osa Peninsula, you may have heard, is the most biodiverse place on the planet. It holds 3% of the world's biodiversity, but only represents 0.05 landmass of the globe. So next slide. So why Costa Rica? We talked about it being a stable country, and large expat communities do create easier landing for new arrivals. I'm not sure if this is a thing in the US, in maybe some of the Florida communities, but Facebook is our friend here. So we do have a lot of Facebook pages like the Costa Ballena yard sale page, where it's like a garage sale, and Costa Ballena bulletin board, or newbies like my sister who's staying down here. She just sent a message saying, I am looking for a dentist, and she gets 3 or 4 recommendations. So that is there. We have 5 different, we have 3 different villages in our little coastline area of Dominical, Ojachal, and Uita. And we have 5 days of farmers markets. So things are always readily available, always fresh. And the lifestyle is definitely health driven for most people. One of the things when we ask our clients what they're looking for in a property, in the more subdivision type things in Florida, you probably have clients that say, well, I need room for my chest freezer because I go to Costco or something. And that's just not available. Those things aren't available to us here in these more rural areas. So we don't need to find them a home usually with a very large pantry with room for a chest freezer, because we're going to enjoy what's available to us. When I first moved here, I started going and meeting the fishermen as the boats came in at 5 in the morning because it was a full moon and they were doing shrimping. I would go down and just buy, 2 pounds of shrimp right from the boat guy for $10. So that type of lifestyle is available. We do have big grocery stores, so you can get those frozen goods in larger packages. It's just not that popular for us. A sense of peace and pace that many clients are seeking. Um, that's what's coming here. Our questions for people are lifestyle driven. What is your lifestyle vision? Is it going to be hiking? Is it going to be surfing? I've met 70 and 80-year-old surfers. We have beautiful, from beginner to expert waves here, international surfing competitions. Uh, Hiking is just endless, and bird watching. There's over 900 bird species here in Costa Rica, and in comparison, in North America, Canada and the US has about 11,000. So we have almost the same amount as that massive landmass that you've got up there. So next slide. So frequently rated, Costa Rica is frequently rated one of the happiest countries in the world. First class private healthcare, strong medical tourism reputation here, remarkable biodiversity, and a daily connection with nature. As I said, I live on, my first property was 4 acres. We were birders, so we cataloged 143 different bird species on our property on our little 4 acres. Howler monkeys come through almost every day. The white-faced capuchins, where I live now, we have the spider monkeys, sloths. Toucans are in the trees next to our house every day, twice a day at sunrise and sunset. It is definitely a different lifestyle choice than anywhere you'd probably find in the United States. And that lifestyle, regardless of your political views, we all have something in common. So that's really nice, not having that coming up into conversation. We're not interested in that, Next slide. So good investment. Costa Rica is a good investment. There is a strong rental market here. We have shifted over the 13 years I've been here. When I first got here, people were buying here to move here and retire and live here 10 plus months out of the year. That has changed. We have a lot of people the majority of people are coming, they're just wanting an additional property to bring money out of wherever they're coming from, whether it be Europe, Russia, Eastern Europe, United States, Canada, etc. The short-term rental market is very high demand. We do have a shortage of long-term rentals. You could get a 2-bedroom house for about $2,000 a month. With an ocean view, you're starting at $2,500 a month. But a lot of those want to turn into short-term rentals because they're moving from $2,000, $2,500 a month to $300 or $400 a night. So they can, starting December 1st and going to the end of our tourist season. Our summer in Costa Rica is December until May 1st. Uvita, let's start on the north end. We have Dominical. Dominical is a surf town, very bohemian. The vendors on the beach, restaurants tend to be cheaper there because the demographic is the digital nomad surfer who is staying in a hostel. Very affordable. Uvita has become the commercial hub, and that is the location of the Marina Baiano National Park and a lot of mountainside homes and with beautiful mountain and ocean views. Homes can range for ocean view starting about 800,000, which is fantastic value. So if you're renting out your home short term and you're willing to give up some of that high season, December through May 1st, then you are going to see some fantastic returns. Like the weeks of Christmas and New Year's, I have friends who rent their home. The average nightly rate is $600 a night for a 4-bedroom, and they double it to $1,200 a night for those 2 weeks. And then also in that spring break timing, they're doing about $1,000. Sorry, a night. They're doing about $1,000 a night. Uvita, as I said, is the commercial hub. It's where all the appliance stores. We've got 3 banks, pharmacies, fantastic medical tourism, state-of-the-art dental, spas. You can get facial scrubs, Botox, everything you need. Ohichal is really strong value and a large retirement community. And because prices are a bit lower there, you're a little further away from the beach. But it's got 3 beautiful rivers running through it that you can relax at and hike. That's started to attract in the last 5 or so years young families. And when the pandemic happened in 2020, 2021, when things started to open up, that's where a lot of families from the US and Canada and Europe started to migrate to. And there are some fantastic private school and public school options there. Overall, the Southern Zone does show, as I said, those healthy long-term rates. Next slide, Stephen, please. So buying in Costa Rica. Foreign buyers have the same title rights as Costa Rican nationals. So you can hold title under your own name. That's how I prefer to do it the first time. I did hold my property under a corporation because everybody said, oh, you have to have everything in a corporation to protect yourself in case you get into a car accident and you hurt someone or, and I was like, well, I have insurance. So that's what that's for. So I've moved to have it in my name. It is much cheaper. Opening a corporation in Costa Rica is about $1,500. And then the annual maintenance and the reporting to your US government on owning a foreign owned corporation, it does complicate your taxes. So it also now creates an issue if you have your property in a corporation in Costa Rica. Getting residency. If your goal is to get residency, pay into our socialized medicine. It's average about 50 to 100, depending on your socioeconomic background. It's about $50 to $100 a month for full medical coverage, and that includes your prescriptions. But gaining residency when the property is owned in a corporation can make it more difficult. It's not impossible, but it will delay the process and you'll be waiting about a year to a year and a half to gain that residency. Closing costs. Closing costs are for a buyer are generally about 4%. And any add-ons on top of that would be if you want to have property line verification done by a topographer, checking it against the National Registry, soil testing. If you're buying land and you need to do core samples for your builder eventually, that's always suggested. And home inspections if you're doing home. We have in our little area, we've got 2 or 3 home inspectors. They're all actually from the US and we're home inspectors back in the US. So we do have all those services available. The process is straightforward, and when handled by an experienced local real estate team and attorney, things go smoothly. Next slide. So referral, I'm not sure if we're allowed to cover this. You can skip over it if we're not and go to the next slide. It's just we do have much higher commissions here in Costa Rica. We start at 10% for properties under $100,000 and 8% of properties up to $1 million. So when it does come to your buying referral, when you're getting a $1 million purchase, you are going to be making more than you would if you're just referring someone to another state where they may be doing 5%. Next slide is fine. So the Southern Zone, my work area does stretch, as I said, from Jaco down through to the Osa Peninsula. The strongest presence, I mentioned those 3 towns and what they have to offer. We do have luxury estates. The most expensive estates are in the $5.5 million range. We don't have the super mansions and things. one of the special things that I like about our area, in comparison to Guanacaste, where you would fly into the Liberia International Airport for the North Pacific coast, that's where the private jets are going. That's usually where, because they are going in, uh, they're on their patios drinking a margarita within 45 minutes of landing. That's not possible for us. We're 3 hours drive at least from the airport. We do have clients that will fly in via helicopter from the San Jose airport, and it's about $4,000, and it takes 4 people plus their luggage, and they just land in a soccer field or somewhere close where we can access them. That's not disturbing our jungle. We do have a lot of hotels, eco lodges, things like that. Our hotels on our area, there is a very active group, Osa Vive, that does work to protect from, Walmart tried to move in, they were not allowed. Marriott tried to move in, they were not allowed. So the hotels and lodges and things like that are usually from 3 to 8 rooms. We have the largest hotel is about 20 rooms, and we like it that way. And it keeps the balance and allows us to be guests of nature. And what was I going to say? So the larger organizations, that, however, has made, if you have someone who is saying, you know what, I may be too early to retire, I need to work there, but I have some money, then, starting, this is what I did. I moved here at 47. We built a little bed and breakfast, and we were clearing about 80,000 US dollars a year on our 3 little casitas, and just renting out casitas at $150 a night year round, and up and down. And May is slow, so we took May off and we went to Europe and saw different parts of the world. The interesting thing about commercial here, because our buyers are primarily expats, is we are not doing the same kind of calculation you would do if you're selling a Starbucks or whatever, and you were doing 4 times profit or 10 times, sales. We do not do that calculation. The market has very few buyers looking to buy a job in Costa Rica. Most of our buyers are coming to settle here, or they're digital nomads and already have a good income coming with them. So there are some fantastic deals. There is a 3-room casita business making about $60,000 a year, and it's a asset priced property. So it's priced only at replacement cost. Big ocean view, 3 acres of walkable paths with jungle, a little waterfall of its own, and priced at $1.25 million. So, and includes a large 2-bedroom owner's home, also with an ocean view off to the side. So, next slide. Challenges. This is where the markets differ between Costa Rica and the United States. Attaining a mortgage can be difficult. We will often get a leading RE referral, and it's someone who has $80,000 and they want to buy in Costa Rica, and they're looking at homes thinking that, well, that's 10% down. I want to buy an $800,000, $750,000 house. This can be an issue. Up until about 3 years ago, there were no lenders for mortgages for expats. They did do this, and after the crash in 2008, a lot of people just walked away from their home in Costa Rica to save their home in the United States. So the banks, Scotiabank, the Bank of Costa Rica, they said no more expat lending. We have no way of getting the money back. The only thing we have is a property in Costa Rica. So it crashed our market. They said no more. The traditional banks will still not do mortgages. We have to rely on private lenders. We have Second Street Mortgage, Volo Loans, both started in the US. And then we have Lefice out of Mexico. And interest rates are quite high. You're looking at a minimum of 8%. But they will do 20, 25, 30-year mortgages. Those interest rates will sometimes become variable, like Lefice will do a guaranteed 8.2% mortgage rate for the first 2 years, and then it becomes 4% plus investment certificate. So if they're selling investment certificates at 4.6%, your interest rate is now going to move up to 8.6%. So it does have volatility that younger people may just say, yeah, no, that's not for me. They will not allow you, if you're buying a property that is either a commercial property or a rental home, and you're like, I'm just going to use my the rent I'm making off this property. They will not allow you to use the rent that that home is currently making as qualification for your mortgage. Please know that. And their reasoning is you may be bad at it. So keep that in mind. Like Airbnb is as much about the host as it is about the property. So those pages, you may be buying a property with 500 five-star reviews. That Airbnb will not transfer that page to you. You've got to start from scratch. So there are all these little things that we're having to educate your clients on. So it is very important with these leading RE referrals that we have. We love to have Zoom calls with the client and with the referral agent beforehand to go over some of these things. Zoning and development rules require very careful review. Costa Rica is a developing nation. As I said earlier, it has a lot of protected forests, and we want to keep it that way. We have a saying, Costa Rica is not for everyone, and we like it that way. So the rules, however, are ever changing. For example, 2-3 weeks ago, the comptroller of Costa Rica said any properties in the OSA area, our 80, 90 miles of coastline is considered the Paso de Dente protection zone. It is a wildlife area for the jaguars and other animals to go from country to country. And they have tagged jaguars, and seeing them coming from Colombia or Panama and making their way now up to Nicaragua because they have this highway of nature. It's really important to the country. But the comptroller said, listen, there's so much development going on in your area. We're now going to need properties inspected by CNAC, which is one of the governing bodies who protects our forests. So I have a property right around the corner from me that I own, that I'm selling, and it's cattle pasture with some jungle. And we're just waiting to close on that inspection for CNAC to come and say, yes, there are buildable areas here that are available to a buyer without destroying the jungle. So that's one thing. Now our closings are usually our due diligence contracts. Our sales and purchase agreements will say a 30-day due diligence, 5 days to close. We're now having to leave that a bit open-ended and sometimes say 2 to 3 months. I've been waiting 2 months now. So we do have to, pre-warn a buyer that the process may take longer, but that is because we're protecting the sanctuary that they're buying. So the rate, and we want to make sure everybody has the right expectations to stay happy in the process and not get frustrated over these kinds of things that can change. Next slide. So I have a sample of listings here just to go through, just 2 or 3, just to show what our area does have. Next slide. So as we talked about luxury listings, this is 5.69 million. The clients that built it they decided they wanted to build luxury homes in Costa Rica, that in our area of Costa Rica that they love so much. So they built this as a spec to sell, and the architect's direction was, we want to feel like we live in a Four Seasons, and each of the 5 suites have the ensuite baths, private terraces. They all have separate walkouts, like you can see in the upper photo, down to the pool. It's got a bar, it's got a gym, it's got multiple living rooms, etc., and wide open ocean views. But then we also have estates like the most recent over $5 million property we sold was a 2-bedroom house, but it was a very large 2-bedroom house on 10 acres, backing on to 600 acres of protected wildlife reserve. So next slide. And another same area. This is in the area of Escaleras. Escaleras is stairs in Spanish, and it's such a valuable mountain because there's 4 roads up and down the mountain. So we have a rainy season from May until December, and sometimes that means trees can come down on the road, but it's really a luxury living on this mountainside because you can always get home after going out for dinner. And your local WhatsApp group will say, tree down on the Pozo Azul Road, So this is in a gated community. Our gated communities, maintenance fees, HOA fees are generally lower. This luxurious gated community of about 90 lots, about 60 homes right now, has a tennis court, a fitness center, a helicopter pad, a community ocean view park, and it's about $5,000 a year with 24-hour gated security. It is lots generally are between 3 and 5 acres, and most have protected wildlife corridors between homes, and that way you're ensured your privacy. And it really holds. We find this community, it really holds the investment well. The Ocean View properties, when we got here, my partner and I, we looked at lots in this community, and the lots we were interested in at $140,000 are now selling for $850 to $1.1 million. So next slide. Residential market. If you want to live down by the beach, this is very common accessibility and very common for families, young families. They don't necessarily want to be up on the mountainside because setting up a play date is drive down the mountain, drop the kids off, drive up the mountain. Same with taking them to school every day. So beach area properties, you can get some very good deals. We have seen a price correction in our area in the last 18 months. So what was selling at $450 is selling at $350 now. But walk to the beach is available here at very, very reasonable rates, and that's for 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms with a pool. You're looking at about, we do meters, so I could change it. So 500 or 5,300 square foot lot is about, you're looking at about $100,000. So if you want with a house, then you're starting at $350 up to about $550. Mountainside ocean view homes starting at $800 to $2 million. And you definitely get what you pay for. And you will see a difference when you visit our website, bluezonerealty.com. You will see that difference. The market offers options from attainable quality builds to trophy estates. So we do have fantastic builders here. Next slide. We do have fantastic builders here. But we do suggest that you go with the recommended builder. We have a whole catalog of services that we recommend. We're definitely a concierge kind of agency. This home in particular down by the beach, walk to a gorgeous river, walk to a 3 mile hiking trail to the beach and to other rivers. As you can see, it's just aesthetically, it's beautiful. It's concrete construction. It was built in 2025 as a spec home to sell. And the builder had to go back to Canada. He had 5 lots. We put the lots. He decided to change his plan, put the lots up for sale. The lots sold within weeks, and because it's a supply and demand thing. But this is a really great option on 449 square meters, so 5,000 square foot lot. Next slide. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And are there any questions? I guess is where we can head now. There is my QR code for my WhatsApp if you want to take a snapshot and send me a message and let me know what questions you have.
Absolutely, Ben. I mean, first off, thank you so much. What a great amount of information. We were getting so many chats and so many messages coming in saying how gorgeous this looks. And now the managers at Kai's want to take a manager retreat here. So you've done your job well. But Denise, one of the first things she had mentioned when you were on the commission, she said, yep, your commission comments are straight on. Our associates love to know their referral fee will be higher. And then a question that came through is, do sellers pay the commission or should buyers be expected to pay something?
Good question. We do have people coming to us saying, well, there was this case in the United States and I don't want to pay the commission, send it to the buyer. We're not the United States. Sellers are paying the commission.
Got it. Sellers are paying the commission. Okay, great. Any additional questions from anybody? I mean, I know we had so much value in the last 40 minutes or so. I know we had a lot right there. Ben, while we wait for other questions to come through as well, this is my hardest question for every speaker. If you were to take everything that you just talked to us about all these investment opportunities, the beauty of the country, I mean, so much happening there. If you were to boil everything down into one final kind of golden nugget, that when people think about this presentation, they think about Costa Rica, this is what comes to mind. What would that be?
This presentation, that, we've been members of Leading RE for, a few years, about eight or 9 years. We just haven't been extremely active in it. We get the 4 referrals a year kind of thing. And I think there's a huge opportunity. And this is my first, webinar presentation. Thank you, Denise. Gracias. And I'm doing another one in 2 days. So this was with Ryan in Mexico. And we have and we do have the similarities, like Ryan and I, he's in Puerto Vallarta area. And it's interesting because I've used my Leading RE connections. When I went to the Global Symposium in Prague last year, I hung out, then flew to Marbella and Malaga and did a property tour in Marbella because I have clients from the US or other countries coming here to look on a scouting trip. And then they're going to Marbella or one of those other places. And I thought, wow, these are amazing opportunities for me to see these other areas and find out what what my competition is. And one of my very close friends came down here and ended up buying in Costa del Sol, Spain. And I went to visit them on that trip, and they got exactly what they wanted. And it wasn't a product that we had here in our area. So I don't think I answered your question.
No, you did. It was great. It was great.
You did fine, Ben.
Yeah, it was great. Denise, I know you have one as well.
Are there any restrictions for investors that want to do Airbnbs down there?
Well, the government agencies have started talking to each other. So a lot of people were coming down, buying a house, getting paid through PayPal of their PayPal account in the US. And all that tax revenue was going, sure, they were paying taxes to Uncle Sam, but they weren't paying taxes in Costa Rica. And Airbnb and Booking.com are now sharing tax information with the Costa Rican government. So on how much money they're, that 13% VAT, that's what our VAT is at, value added tax. So they are coming after people who are not legally doing that. So pretty much, everyone in our area I know who has a rental home has signed up because this started a year and a half ago. But the and we can see a difference because there are so many vacation properties, but the road, I'm 10 kilometers up a mountainside, and the first 5 kilometers was recently paved. So I got better roads because people are paying their taxes, So, and it's very simple structure for a rental home. You get a 15% tax deduction, flat rate, whether you spend it or not. And you get a 15% income tax rate. So on $100,000, you're only being taxed 15% on $85,000.
Wow.
They've kept it very simple, but they're collecting that money now, which is fantastic.
Yeah, helps everybody. Can
Yeah.
you talk whatever you can? Can you talk a little bit about safety?
Yeah. When something happens in Costa Rica, it's world news because it's quite rare. So when we had someone killed on the beach 3 years ago, a German tourist who was camping on the beach. I wouldn't suggest it, but mostly because we're on the Pacific side and the tides and the waves can surprise you. And the beaches almost disappear at high tide. There's the parking area, and then immediately the water's coming right up to that area. So it's not really the safest place anyways to camp. But I back in Canada, I was a victim of a robbery crime twice. Being in the restaurant business, got held up. And the lesson learned was you give them your stuff. So this person did not do that, and they decided to fight them, and there was a gun involved. But it was a German tourist. It became world news. It was all over the press in Germany. It may not have hit the United States, but if something happens in the United States, we had the kid, no longer a kid, who was the son of the Huxtables in the Cosby Show. He drowned in Costa Rica. That was world news. And that was over a year ago. So there are issues. We do have a high murder rate in Costa Rica, but it is in San Jose, in rough areas that I would never be going to anyways. So,
how far are you from San Jose, Ben?
About 3.5 hours.
Driving?
Yep. Yes. Yeah, I can take, it's an 18-minute flight from Capos Manuel Antonio.
Nice.
And yeah. So it's fantastic. By the time you get up to go over the mountains, you're coming down and you land, little Cessna, 10-seater type plane. The regional airport system here is very convenient. And I have an aunt coming and staying in Guanacaste, so I'm getting her a ticket so she can come pop down for 2 days. And it's fantastic. But driving from where she is going to be about 8 hours. It takes a long time.
What is the closest airport to you? And is there a direct flight from Miami? Do you know?
No, the direct flight from Miami is San Jose Airport. The regional, yeah. They are looking at adding an additional international airport in the southern zone, which would cut that down to 45 minutes.
Nice. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think that's all the questions we have. Stephen, anything from you?
No, I mean, it's been great to learn more about Costa Rica and like you said, the real local aspect of it. It's really exciting to hear all of this.
Yeah. And someone did comment about direct flights. Yeah, I've because we have a booth every year at the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show and the Miami International Boat Show to talk about real estate. We bring a couple of attorneys with us. We bring E&T Escrow and Trust Solutions with us so that they can answer all those things of how to get your money legally into Costa Rica, etc. It's fantastic, and we do get clients out of it. Hence why we're there. But Yeah, there's Fort Lauderdale direct flights, Miami direct flights, Orlando direct flights. It's very easy from Florida, and I have friends here who they were at one point my next door neighbors, and when they were working, they're retired and here now full time. But when they were working, it was like for me as a Canadian going to my cottage for the weekend. You
Yeah.
know, they it was a 2 hour and 15 minute flight, direct flight from Orlando, and then they um, got the puddle jumper uh, to very close to their house, and that was 18 minutes. So when I go to Ontario, I'm from Toronto up to Magnetawan, where my cottage is 3.5 hour drive. So yeah, yeah,
If anyone plans a visit, just reach out to me and I'll coordinate it with Ben.
please.
So we can coordinate it all from one place. I failed to say that our team at Illustrated Properties has joined us today as well. So I want to thank them for jumping on. If there's questions at all on the market, on anything that Ben went over today, just reach out to me. Shova will help connect you with Ben on the Illustrated side, and Evelyn and Monica will connect with Ben as well on the Kai side. We're here to help you. So make sure that you reach out to us. I think this was incredible information, Ben. To be your first one, you didn't even have to say that because it didn't seem that way.
Yeah, you did
So
a great job.
it's your practice for Ryan's
Yeah,
webinar in a few days. If you have any questions at all, please reach out to us. And thank you, Ben, for being part of the Kais family. The last thing
very
I'm going to
welcome.
say is a plug for Leading RE. Ben is attending the Latin
I know.
America Forum in Panama in
Yeah.
mid-September. Rob, who's on, Rob from Sarasota, Rob Crescell is going with me
Oh, good.
on his own, but he's going, so he'll get to meet Ben as well and his team going. So anybody interested in attending the Panama Forum, please let me know. And again, Ben, thank you so much for your time. Stephen, anything else?
No, that's really it. Ben, I'm sure you're seeing in the chat, but it's blowing up with
Yeah.
thank yous, applause. Everybody's saying I'm booking in a trip for
Very,
2026
very
now.
welcome.
So
Thank you.
yes, it sounds like you do these every day, Ben. So you did a great job,
Oh,
and
gracias.
we look forward to having you on again. But thank you, Ben, and thank you, Denise, for setting this up, and thank you as well for everybody for taking the time to be here with us. Again, if you have any
Thank you,
questions
everybody.
about Costa Rica, want to get connected, feel free to reach out to Denise Talboy and her team, and they'll get you connected with Ben and his team, and we'll take it from there. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful
Thank
day.
you all.